Yeah, dear learners, I welcome the honors registered students for the course Warehousing Automation. So now we are in the process of learning the course through blended learning, and the main learning is occurring through the online platform. So now with respect to these subjects, these all are the contents for unit 1, and for the unit 1 as of now we have discussed the first 5 topics via 4 videos. So now we'll go into the next crucial things where we are getting introduced to automation. So when we say the curriculum structure, it is like this. Initially we discussed about warehouse process, how it works, what all are the supply chain attributes and other things we discussed, and what all are the challenges in a traditional warehouse we just discussed. So now we'll get into the crucial aspect where we are introducing automation into the traditional warehouse. So here this particular content is going to completely deal with warehouse automation technologies. So as discussed earlier, kindly have a notebook, note down all the discussions points what we discussed in the online platform. So note down. If in case any doubts arises, sure we are free to discuss during our offline classes. In addition, the notes what you take will be highly useful for you guys for the case of knowledge enrichment as well as for the examination cases. However, the study materials and the PPT will be loaded in the Google Classroom. So again, I welcome you all for the learning case where we are going to get introduced to warehousing automation technologies. So before we get into warehousing automation technologies, we need to know what exactly automation is and what is going to do with respect to warehouse. So we'll learn everything in a very phased manner, in a very systematic manner. We'll just learn. So automation technology, especially for a warehouse application, it is not one particular technology where only one technology will be involved and others are going to be simple. No, it is not of that nature. Here we are going to have multiple components put together, multiple technologies put together, maybe by the form of hardware or by the form of software. We'll be putting everything and then we are going to do a streamline operation. That is, for the case of warehousing process, we are going to inculcate both hardware based automation, software based automation. The final objective is going to be improve the efficiency, reduce the manual involvement in a warehouse environment. Of course, automation principle is of that nature. Anyhow, we'll just understand what is warehouse technology. So to summarize, warehouse automation technology means it is going to have collective technologies by the form of hardware, by the form of software. The ultimate aim is to improve the efficiency of the warehouse as well. It is going to minimize the labor application. So this is what we need to know in the very preliminary case. Now, what all are the technologies? At least the major core technologies. So the major core technologies are, first is ASRS. Of course, we'll be dealing a lot in a very detailed case in the upcoming units. But now, as a preamble, let us get introduced. There is a system by name ASRS. So that is the preliminary component or the first component in the hierarchy with respect to warehouse automation. So ASRS is an acronym and the abbreviation is Automated Storage and Retrieval System. Then second, we are going to use some movement mechanism, that is automated guided vehicle, also called as, in short it is called as AGVs. Autonomous mobile robots, in short called as AMRs. So we are going to use several conveyor systems, robotic picking and packing, and warehouse management. So now then these are the crucial elements. So now let us classify these elements like this. The farmer cases are physical automation, and the final WMS, that is warehouse management system, is going to be a software platform which is going to integrate the software versus hardware. So here, as discussed earlier, warehouse automation technology is going to have two components essentially. The first is going to be physical automation and the second is going to be software automation, in short digital automation. So now the first foremost thing is, when you want to automate, the first thing which comes into picture is investment. Yes, investment is going to be very essential. For example, manual investment has to be replaced by means of some sort of automated systems, maybe a simple robot. Let us go ahead with a very simple robot. The robot will be able to pick and it will place, no harm, there is no difficulty in this. So a simple end of arm tooling followed by a program, a controller and a robot of course will solve the purpose. But how about sorting and storing? So for that we need to have some sort of machine vision systems, because robots are not capable to sort as well as to store. They are supposed to be given some sort of artificial eyes. That's what we call it as machine vision. So now, whether the organization will be in a position to get profit by means of this investment. So this is what called as a return on investment. This we will be dealing a lot in the upcoming units. In the future units we will be discussing ROI. How about the ROI? How to go ahead, whether to go ahead or not to go ahead. And coming for the second case, yes, software is essential, e-commerce activity and technology comes into picture. So therefore the aim is to eliminate unnecessary errors. So this is the one which has to come into your mind the moment you talk about automation. Automation we go ahead with by either cases physical as well as digital. Will I be able to, or will we be able to get sufficient returns or not? Will it be profitable or not? That's what the prime question is, and we shall think it over in the other cases by means of suitable aids and tools to justify the selection. Now, before we get into it, what is automation? Because earlier we just got introduced to various automation technologies, and now we are supposed to know what is automation, because there are two types. One is physical and the other thing is digital or software. So first we need to know what is automation, because you need to know this particular aspect so that the same service can be extended to a warehouse. So in short, automation. Now we will understand what is automation. So automation is all about using some sort of technology to perform tasks with minimal human intervention. And let me add the second point to it, especially in the repetitive tasks. So now before understanding this definition, let us go to a very simple example to understand this particular task. Now there is a tailor who works for, say in a day he works for 10 hours. So his duty is to stitch cloths by means of sewing machine. Now let us for the case of example, let us take a traditional sewing machine where he need to pedal. I hope everyone would have having knowledge in this regard. So he needs to pedal up everything. So he pedals everything and then he stitches. So for day one, no, there is no issues with respect to it. So over a period of time, yes, he is going to have fatigue. He will not be working in a very effective or an efficient case. His efficiency is going to literally come down with respect to time. So what is the thing we need to understand here is, this particular task is going to be repetitive. Daily he has to work for 10 hours, and the same case he has to do the same thing at least weekly 6 days, something like this. So now how will he be able to be highly productive, or how he will be able to give very good performance with respect to time without any sort of occupational health? So that is another important factor. So now how can this task be accomplished is, now let us bring back the concepts of automation into it. So automation means we are going to adapt to some sort of technology to minimize human intervention, especially for the case of repetitive tasks. So repetitive tasks are also called as mundane tasks. So this is what our requirement is all about. Now how to do this particular task is, now let us take just an electric motor. Take an electric motor, fit directly to the machine by means of belt. So now there should be a switch in order to function this motor, make this motor to function. So have that particular switch in the form of pedal. So keep it adjacent to the sewing machine, where within a foot reach distance. Now he is going to do the same work, but it is very easy case. He is not going to pedal, he is not going to work on the machine. He is going to just operate the motor, and then he is going to do the same stitching activity. So now how this process can be justified is, we need to go with the cost benefit analysis. That's what our engineer's task is all about. So we are going to offer new solutions, and of course it should be cost effective solution. This cost effective may not be visible on day one, but with respect to time, yes, it need to be highly effective. So this is what automation is all about. Now let us summarize the definition. So automation is defined as the process of using technology to perform tasks with minimal human intervention, especially in repetitive tasks. It do not mean that non-repetitive tasks, no, it is going to be considered. However, any cases, any tasks, it can be automated. So it is a technology driven approach. There is no doubt, there is no second thought process in this regard. So it's a technology driven approach that aims to enhance efficiency and reduce human error. This is what very crucial is all about. We wanted to improve the efficiency of the process and we wanted to reduce the human error, which any human is supposed to do with respect to time. At its core, automation involves using various tools and systems to execute tasks without continuous manual input. So this is another interesting factor. It is not one tool, it is not one machine, it is not one technology. It is going to be collective. It's a comprehensive activity where we are going to think of using all these technologies for the case of effective performance as well to minimize the human intervention. You give the input, let the program, let the controller take the task and let it work in a very, very effective case. Now, we'll clump up both. We'll combine both. Earlier we know what is warehouse process and now we knew what is automation. Now let us just make a combination of both these things. So warehouse automation is the process of automating the warehouse. This is going to be a little bit vague. So let us go still more deeper. Warehouse automation is the process of automating the movement of inventory into, within and out of warehouses. So these all are the three things. Of course, this we'll learn a lot in logistics part in the upcoming things. So whatever the inventory comes inside the warehouse, within the warehouse, outside the warehouse will be monitored with human assistance. Of course, whom are we transporting? Everything to the customer. So now we have clubbed both the things. Again, we'll have a glance over this. Warehouse automation is the process of automating the movement of inventory, three cases, into, within and out of warehouses to customers with minimal human assistance. Human will be there, he will be there, but he is going to give only instructions to those automatic technologies. Now let us get into the goals, how to perform this particular task. So warehouse automation refers to the use of technology to perform traditional tasks done by human workers with the goal of increasing efficiency, accuracy and productivity in warehouse operations. We have learned about warehouse operations. There are 8 such operations are there, and the 8th operation is going to be a returns processing, which is a non-value added activity, and rest 7 are going to be value added activity. Now let us omit that 8th one. For the sake of understanding, let us confine to that initial 7 points. So now within the 7 points, when you see, we are going to use some sort of technology to minimize the human intervention, because they are repetitive tasks. There is no doubt with respect to it. But how to do it? So what will be the goal? That's what our focus is all about. This includes automating the movement of inventory, optimizing the storage and retrieval, and streamlining the process like picking, packing and shipping. Everything is going to be automated. Okay, so how to go ahead with this will be the further discussions for the entire units. Essentially, it is about using automated systems and technologies to handle various tasks, often without human intervention. So this particular topic often comes. So now there might be a doubt. If at all we automate a warehouse, whether human is going to lose their job. This might be a question, and often whenever any technology comes, immediately there will be an agitation among common public that people are going to lose the jobs. No, it's going to be something else where we should be ready to reskill ourselves. Now automation comes into picture. Who will take care of programming of those parts? Who will take care of the maintenance? Who will take care of operation and further activities related to it? For example, you wanted to make it some sort of flexibility, so we'll do. Again, human comes into picture, but from a semi-skilled nature, they should be in a position to transform themselves for the case of skilled. So this is highly essential and highly anticipated by any industrial application. Now, how automation is going to facilitate the warehousing operations. This has to be how it is going to be done. So as such, from a definition point of view, we are very clear that warehouse, what is the activity it does, and with respect to automation, yes, it is going to adapt or adopt some sort of technologies by which human intervention is going to be minimum, especially in the repetitive task. That is known. When both the things put together, yes, again that is known. But how, what is going to be the main agenda of automation inside a warehouse is very simple. It is going to assist the movement of goods. So there are n number of products are there, identification, picking, packing, shipping, everything is going to be done within the warehouse by some technology. So that is the first foremost area. Now, whether that alone will be enough means no, you need to improve the handling of goods. The goods has to be handled, that is inventory control has to be thought of. Even that is also supposed to be automation, by means of automation. So now one thing we should be very clear that know a technology, I stress it upon, know a technology, that is no individual technology will solve all these things. We need to have collective of technologies to accomplish this particular task. That point we need to be very careful. So now there are, as I told you in the earlier slide, it is supposed to be collective of technologies. Now there are 10 such technologies are there which can fastly disrupt the supply chain function as well as creating breakthrough for warehouses. 10 technologies, not one, 10 technologies are there. Now we'll see one by one. The first is multi-shuttle system. So shuttle, we know it is going to be to and fro, some sort of transportation system, to and fro. So first is multi-shuttle system. So one case, that is one movement, two movement, it will go pick the product, fro movement, it will come back to the packing area. Again the to fro, a repetitive process. Now earlier case, human would have been doing the task. Now that human is not necessary, and indeed a multi-shuttle system will take care. And next, for the case of data reading, automatic data acquisition, optical recognition. So there are several technologies or the ADC techniques that we'll learn in the upcoming content. Then conveyor connection. You can have different types of conveyors. There are n number of conveyors are there. I think some 14 types of conveyor systems are there. Any conveyor system can be adopted in this regard to accomplish this task. Then warehousing management system. So yes, physical is necessary, digital is necessary. Some sort of management systems are online based, e-based systems to connect all these activities. And smart storage. So today everywhere we see smartness. We see smart machines, smart equipments everywhere, and of course here also smart storage. So next, 3D printing. So 3D printing helps us for the case of layout preparation. So 3D printing is one such technology. Prior to its implementation, 3D printing helps us a lot to finalize or to optimize the layouts. The next, swarm robotics or swarm AGV robots. So earlier we saw under collection of technologies, AGV, automated guided vehicle. So swarm means cluster or bunch of robots put together to do this particular tasks. So swarm AGV robots. Then analytics and algorithms. See, having so many equipments to do one particular task, we need to have different types of analytics being carried out. What's their cycle time, what's their efficiency, what is their output performance, everything. Of course some algorithms are also necessary. Then smart glasses. See, smart glasses here refer to one particular task which is going to count. For the case of counting and other things, smart glasses are essential. And picking robots. Yes, picking robots are very interesting part, because all robots are not in a position to pick up, because that end of arm tooling, that's the one which comes and picks up. Robot should have such a structure for the case of picking application. So there are different types of specifications are there. Of course this this unit gets in with picking and packing robots. There we learn a lot about picking and packing robots. Now these all are the 10 technologies under one image. So what is the thing is, we need to understand two essential things are there when you come for warehouse automation technologies. What all are they? Number one, Physically, a product is supposed to move within the warehouse. Maybe that might be an incoming to the warehouse, or that might be an outgoing, that is to the customer, whatever may be the case. But definitely there is a flow of products inside the warehouse. So this has to be automated. Some automatic movement is going to, some technology is going to take care. So different types of technology, say AGV or a conveyors, they are going to move, that's it. Okay, but purpose and the application, the nature of application is going to differ. That we need to be very careful enough. Then coming for the other things, counting. So counting has to be made automatic. Then activities has to be completely, it has to be monitored. Again, we need to have different things. So two things which we need to consider here is, physically automation is going to be done by means of certain equipments. Then next case, digitally we are going to have some sort of algorithms, some computer based activities to monitor these things, to go ahead with data recording of all these things, and that archive, that is that history is going to serve as a very greater input for the case of automation technologies. So with this we come to an end for this particular chapter, warehousing automation technologies. So before I close this online platform recording. So now what is the thing we need to take away is, as such we know what is warehouse process. As well now we came to know what is automation. When both these things comes together, so platform is going to be a warehouse, then automation is going to be applied. It is going to imply to inside a warehouse for the case of minimal human intervention and to minimize the errors, because it's a repetitive task. What all are the type of errors? Earlier we learnt about the challenges, warehouse challenges. So those errors are going to be our ultimate objective, and we need to minimize those tasks. And for that, how different types of technologies, because automation is a cluster of technologies. It is not going to deal with only one technology. It is going to have cluster of technologies, and how this cluster of technologies is going to minimize our human intervention, as well as it is going to minimize task, is going to be the further interesting part what we are going to learn. So with this we come to an end for the chapter by name, warehousing automation technologies. So as I told you earlier, learners, please make a note of all the things what you have learned. Any doubts, please don't have any sort of hesitation. Try to contact me by means of WhatsApp, or if not, we'll just make a call. Even if you couldn't, no issues, come to my cabin, or else we'll meet during the offline classes. So thank you.